Hello everyone, how's it going? Dr. Incompetent here, and I'd like to try something new on the channel, which is list the top 10 games I played on the channel in May. And I'm going to be doing this and trying this out for each month that I have on record, and just kind of going through, offering my top 10 games of the new games that I played on the channel in that month, to hopefully give us something fun to talk about and recommend a game that maybe you haven't heard of that you want to check out. A couple of things about this. Number one, these are not necessarily games that came out in May of 2025. These are games that I just happened to play for the first time in that month. They could be early access, they could be old games, they could be games that did just come out, they could be games that I've even played before, but I'm visiting again because of updates or DLC, etc. So I'm going to just list them from 10 to number 1, and I'd also love it if you could give me your feedback about this type of video. Do you want to see more of these? And any games that you played in May, if you can remember, that you would recommend, that you would like to see on the channel. And these all are coming from my playlist of every new game that I played in May of 2025. I'm going to link that in the comments and description below so you can check it out and see all of the 48 different games that I played and see if you agree with my list of 10 games. Alright, so without further ado, diving in, let's start at number 10 with Cauldron. And Cauldron is a charming kind of idle minigame RPG monster collector, and that might sound like a lot, but it's got all of those things going on in a small package. It's an affordable game, and it's so much fun because it takes the kind of incremental elements of idler games, but then puts them in with mini games that you develop as you go and become more robust and easy to play. So you have a diversity of different games that you're playing to help you with the main game, which is kind of building your team of allies and exploring RPG style in this auto battler game. And then you play smaller games to power up your account, unlock new areas, get better at those games, which in turn help you get better at a different game, and all just build up your progress in an incredibly fun way. With a lot of idle games, you're just clicking and you're, buying different structures to help you out, and it's more laid back. But because this game combines that idler element and incremental element with not only an auto battle game, but also some, almost classic arcade style games, a digging game, a fishing game, and a game, that feels like Breakout almost. And all of this comes together in just a really, really charming package. I had a ton of fun with it, and if you are interested in a kind of cute and fun, easy to play, not too much thought, incremental game, I recommend Cauldron. Next on my list is Slice and Dice. And Slice and Dice is a strategy roguelike game, and it feels almost like, kind of a deck builder game, except instead of building a deck, you're building your dice and your characters, and you roll dice each round. You lock in the sides of the dice that you want with each of your characters, and then you fight the enemies on the right of the screen. You can see their intents. You might have to block their attack. You might want to take down one target instead of another, and you have to actually make some very difficult choices about how you want to upgrade your characters, your dice, how you want to apply the dice, and it's a ton of fun. At first glance, I thought it was pretty basic, but the more I played of it, I realized it was quite challenging, a lot of depth going on, and I think you can even get Slice and Dice on mobile. So I played the demo first, and then I had so much fun with it, I bought the full release to allow you to have more stages you can go through, more content and stuff, and it's super, super fun. Number 8 on my list is the Slormancer. Now, the Slormancer is a ARPG with pixel-based graphics. It almost feels a little bit like Graveyard Keeper with its sense of humor and art style, and yet it is a deep, rewarding, roguelike ARPG almost, where you go into the levels and you clear through them, you build up your account, and you get to kind of save people from the village and, the disaster that's going on, build that back up, be the hero. And what's really cool about Slormancer is that you just have such satisfying and destructive combos that you can make with your weapons. You feel really powerful, and it's a goofy but fun ARPG with a great progression system that doesn't feel like, at least at the beginning of what I played, it doesn't feel overwhelmingly grindy. And I love the presentation, the vibe of the game, and the way it controlled and played. So I definitely recommend Slormancer. At number 7 was the Thaumaturge, and the Thaumaturge is an RPG that really surprised me. It is by 11-bit, the makers of Frostpunk and The Altars, among other games, and it's just a super high quality and interesting RPG with, it's, got a beautiful art style. The production is really, really top notch. The voice acting is great. The writing is cool. The setting is great, and I mean, you get to be friends with Rasputin and work with Rasputin, which is amazing. And your character has these kind of supernatural abilities as a thaumaturge to sense memories and emotional imprints on items, and kind of like sort of read people's minds and see the demons behind what's motivating them at times or compelling them against their will. And you can actually kind of bring those demons under your control, and it makes you more powerful, and you use them in turn-based combat. And the combat system is really fun. Exploring the map is fun. Talking to people, it's just a great experience. If you're looking for a modern isometric RPG with turn-based combat that just is done well top to bottom, I was super surprised by this game, and I believe I got it like for incredibly cheap, if not free, as part of maybe a Humble monthly or something like that. So you can seek it out, and it is super, super fun. At number 6 on my list is Amnesia, The Dark Descent. Now, like I said, these games are not games that are brand new. This is actually a really old game, and it's a classic horror game that kind of spawns the entire Amnesia franchise. And it is a game, I've never played anything from the Amnesia games. I've always meant to, and so I just fired it up on stream, and it was super fun playing because most people on stream had played it like many years ago and had fond memories of it. It is an atmospheric horror game where it's just got this sense of, kind of dread and creepiness to it that creates this real tension as you explore a kind of mansion, castle, and then the dungeon and catacombs underneath. And it is scary. It's dark. It's got puzzles. It's got a great story. It's got cool voice acting. You're not really on even footing. You don't know kind of what's going on. But it is, if you're looking for a well-written, genuinely scary, atmospheric horror game, I think Amnesia is right there. And it's got to be affordable at this point because it's such an older title, and I was having a blast with Amnesia. At number 5 on my list is a builder, Timberborn. And Timberborn, it kind of feels like you're playing Factorio and a city builder with beavers. And at first I thought, oh, okay, it's this kind of like cutesy builder game with beavers. But as soon as I started getting into Timberborn, I realized that this was actually a deeper and more complex logistics game where you really needed to pay attention to all of the elements going on in order to survive. And it gives it kind of like a Banished feel because you've got to make sure everyone can eat and drink, and there are these seasons of drought that you have to prepare for with your beavers by building dams, controlling water flow, sluice gates, avoiding pollution and other hazards while you expand and grow your population, do research. And it's cool because you get to build vertically, maintain, orchards and tree groves and such to keep your wood supply going, all while making sure you have enough food. And it actually was very, very challenging, and it gets harder as you go. And there are, and I've seen, people have linked it to me, some really, really insane videos of people doing awesome stuff, controlling the water, and building these structures that gives it a vibe like you're playing something akin to Dwarf Fortress or Factorio with the intricacy of it. And although it was challenging, I think it's a very well-made and cool game. At number 4 on my list is a game I've put on lists before because it's a game I revisited as it's always getting updates seemingly from its solo developer, and that's Approaching Infinity. Approaching Infinity is what I like to call Star Trek the roguelike. It is a traditional turn-based roguelike sandbox sci-fi RPG where you can play it like you're doing Star Trek. You're going around exploring, checking out different planets, doing missions, avoiding fights, or you can go, because it's sandbox, you could go into combat. You can lean into it and you can fight deliberately and do, bounties. Or if you want to be more of a resource trader and a merchant, you can do that. Or maybe you want to be a miner and go for rare resources and explore different galaxies, picking up huge hauls, and you have some, clunker cargo ship. The game really lets you do all of these things. You get to build up your crew. You can board wrecked ships, haul them off and sell them, or you can even fix them up and take them as your own. It's got so much going on, and it's just kind of funny and challenging game with a lot of depth that keeps getting iterated and updated, and I always have fun when I play Approaching Infinity. At number 3 on my list is Low Magic Age. This game came out of nowhere. I really didn't know anything about it. It just, maybe somebody recommended it and it was on a wish list and went on sale, and I just picked it up on Steam. And it's effectively a old school turn-based tactical combat RPG sandbox game that's using what feels like basically D&D 3.5 rules. And it has some kind of Battle Brothers vibe where you have this map and you can go to different towns, take contracts with your party, do jobs, explore dungeons. You can run trading routes, and the combat is really fun. You get nice big maps. You're fighting, fantasy creatures that you would expect in a D&D setting. You have, if you're familiar with D&D and 3rd edition and 3.5, you will be right at home with most of this stuff. All of it's there. And it's just such a charming rendition of classic, top-down RPG games, giving you Final Fantasy Tactics style combat screens, but then a map you can explore, choices you can make, lots of leveling up that you can do, tons and tons of loot to filter through as you upgrade your characters. And I really found Low Magic Age to be a supremely fun experience. Number 2 on my top 10 games that I played on the channel in May of 2025 is Monster Train 2. Now, I love the first Monster Train, and in my opinion, the second Monster Train just takes everything from Monster Train 1 and improves it. So there's more going on to help you kind of mitigate some of the swings from the first game. There could be a little bit of, RNG feel, like it just didn't vibe great in the beginning of Monster Train 1 with some of the builds and things, but honestly, in this game, Monster Train 2, the fact that you get a deployment phase and there's, so many different elements happening with room cards, equipment cards, you can just do everything that's fun about the first game, which is making unfair, broken combos and then take it to that next level. So you get to do some insanely broken stuff, which is how you basically win at Monster Train. And I love the presentation, the music, the deck builder element of it. So it's like Slay the Spire, but you've got multi-tiers of tower defense that you have to do on your train. And if you like strategy RPGs, roguelike deck builders, I think Monster Train 2 is an absolute home run. And then number 1 on my list of games I played for the first time in May is Hobo Tough Life. This game I saw, I think it was Raptor play, and I was like, okay, that looks like it might be interesting. And then Hobo Tough Life took over my life. It was such a fun take on the survival element, the open world kind of survival game. It feels like you're playing Green Hell, Stranded Deep, one of these traditional survival games, and yet you're in a kind of faux prog as a hobo, trying to make your way by sifting through trash, begging for change, doing quests, pickpocketing, crafting, all sorts of things, building up your little cardboard kingdom, sleeping on benches, getting arrested. I mean, this game has so much content and so much depth, and it's all fun. Like, everything you do, you need in order to be able to survive. You need to be able to dumpster dive better. You need to be able to craft some clothes to combating the cold is one of your biggest elements. You need to stay dry. You need to keep fed. You need to get good relationships with the people around town so that you can gain access to new skills, technologies, and you know, as you progress, you feel so much better than you did the first day when you woke up in a pit with no memory. And it's so challenging, it's so hard. I was tickled that it felt more difficult to survive as a hobo than it did, you know, in, like, for example, the forest on an island filled with just kind of mutation horrors. I felt safer in that game than I did here in a city filled with people, because nobody cares about you, and you really, really need to fight for yourself. And the progression system is just so much fun. It feels so good. There's so many ways you can level up. You can build up your base, which gives you traits to make you stronger, survive longer, be able to stay out, be able to explore in the night, be able to survive the cold, be able to have a food supply when the shops close down. It's super fun. I cannot recommend Hobo Tough Life enough, and that is my list of the 10 best games I played in May of 2025. So let me know in the comments below, what were the best games that you played in May? Do you have any suggestions for the channel? Would you reorder the list that I gave in any way? Would you like to see more lists like this on the channel? I'm always thinking of ways to kind of help showcase the games that I played that I had fun with, and share just, you know, our common hobby of gaming with new titles that you might not have thought of, that are not, you know, I don't really play too many AAA titles. Not to say I don't like them. I just play everything and see what's out there, and really just give exposure to stuff that you might never have heard of, so that you can find a gem and have fun with a game that is right up your alley. So everyone, I want to say thank you so much for watching. I will check you next time. Take care.